Today I'm going to show you how to calculate how much yarn you used for your crochet project. This is especially helpful if you sell your projects and you need to know how much materials you used. All right, so there's a few things you're going to need. You're going to need a scale. This one you can change the mode. I've got it in grams. You need paper, pen, whatever you crocheted, and then your skein of whatever kind of yarn you crocheted. Obviously this is not the same color, but this is the same yarn that I used as far as brand and weight and all of that stuff, okay? All right, and this is also a good way to calculate if you only have a partial skein. You can also use this to figure out how much yarn is on the skein. So we're gonna start out by turning on our scale, okay? And we are going to weigh our project. Make sure it's all on there. So this project weighs 120 grams. And I'm gonna write that down. Okay, now you can set that to the side. All right, so we're done with our scales. We can set that to the side. Okay, but we are gonna get out our skein. We don't need to weigh it, but we need to look at this information right here. So if you can see, this skein is 200 grams and it's 359 yards. So I want to know how many yards I used in this project, okay? So we're gonna set up the problem like this. We want the weight of the yarn used. Sorry, my handwriting's terrible. And over that, we are gonna put the weight of the skein. Okay? And on the other side, we are gonna put the yards, okay? So like we said, this is 359 yards. Okay, this is the length of the skein. And on top, we want to do our variable. We don't know how many yards we used for our project, so I'm gonna put an X here as our variable, okay? So the weight of the yarn we used was 120 grams, right? And we're gonna put that on top of 200 grams because that's how much is on the skein. Set it equal to, we have X, our variable. We don't know how much yardage we have for our project, but we know that the skein has 359 yards, okay? So we're gonna calculate how many yards we used. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna cross multiply. So that means we take the top number over here and multiply it by the bottom number over here. I'm gonna go write that down. Put our equal sign, and then we're gonna multiply the bottom number over here by the top number over here. Okay? And now what we need to do is multiply these two numbers together. So we have 120 times 359. Yeah, you also need a calculator. All right, so that gives us 43,080. Okay, now what we're gonna do is isolate this X by dividing both sides by 200, okay? So that cancels those two out. So on our calculator, we can do divided by 200. All right, so that gives us 215 equals X, and that means that for this project, we used about 215 yards. Technically, it's 215 and a half because we got 215.4, but that's pretty close. That's a good number. All right, so 250 yards is how much yarn I used to make this lovely little cardigan, okay? And that is how you can calculate how many yards you used of yarn in your project. If you wanted to, you could change this to meters because, of course, it also has meters here, 328. So instead of 359 yards, you would put 328 meters and continue doing the project. You can also weigh it in ounces. I just find that that's not as accurate because the ounce is such a big amount of weight when you can get a lot more accurate with the grams, which is why I measure in grams, okay? I hope that helps. I'm gonna do it one more time. This time I'm gonna see if I have a full skein of yarn, okay? Because I don't know. Let's calculate how much yarn is on this skein. So I'm gonna bring my scale back out and turn it on. I'm gonna weigh the skein. All right, it is 111 grams. Okay, well, we know that's not a full skein because we've got 200 grams to a skein, so I've used some of it. So now we've got to figure out how many yards does that mean that I have on this skein. So again, looking at our yarn, we know that there are 200 grams on a skein. We don't know how many yards we have left, but we know there's normally 359 yards, okay? So let's do the math again. So we're gonna cross multiply. So 111 times 359 equals 200x, okay? So let's clear that. 111 times 359 is 39,849. Okay, we're going to divide both sides by 200. So that gives us 199.245 yards is how much yardage we have remaining on this skein. So I hope you find this helpful.